I say this carefully, like a lot of people just are lazy, right? So you can't just want success, you've got to need success.
An entrepreneur in London has come up with a novel way in order to help people achieve their dreams.
So his name is Simon Squibb.
Simon Squibb.
The media make up stuff, but people trust these things. I know people that actually trust the Sun to get their political information. Right, the education system's totally upside down, teaches you exactly the opposite, and there's no other alternative. And that has to fucking change. I'm going to fix the education system.
Do you think everybody is cut out to build and run a business?
Yes, everybody's cut out to run and build a business. Everybody should be rich. Anyone listening right now who's in financial trouble, you can get yourself out of it. It's possible. That's where the 98% of your life can be hacked. And basically, there's 3 steps to it. First is...
What's up, guys, and welcome back to First Things First. We have a special guest today, a fellow Brit, Simon Squibb. Thank you for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. So what has your journey been? I know you're born and bred in the UK. How long did you spend there before you went and traveled around the world? 21
years old, I moved to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I thought Britain was the best place on earth until I went somewhere else and realized it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to Hong Kong. First year I was there, I hated it. So different to England. And then I realized just how amazing places can be like Hong Kong.
Why did you move there in the first place? That's it's a bit of a mad place to move to.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a long story, I guess, but primarily I started a business and sold it for a little bit of money, and if I left England for 9 months, I wouldn't have to pay tax on that money.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, and I love fate, I had a friend who was living in Hong Kong who said, "Come and stay on my couch," and then someone also offered me a small consultancy gig out there. So all the things kind of aligned. I'm like, okay, I saved the money, not paying capital gains tax in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I get an opportunity to go and see my friend, and I got no rent because I can just sleep on his couch, and I've got this little gig I can do while I'm out there. And it was kind of the handover for Hong Kong. It was 1997, and Hong Kong was just about to be handed back to the British, to the Chinese. They lost Hong Kong in a card game, and they were giving it back, which is kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could go and experience that and see what that was all about. And so many people told me not to go. So many people that said, "Oh, don't go there. Triads, don't." Things they didn't really know and tried to put me off. And I pushed through all that pain of everyone saying I shouldn't go. I went. It was amazing. I didn't like it when I first went there, but I loved it. But within a year, I was like, this is literally one of the most exciting cities in the world. I didn't know it existed. I had completely a different impression of it. Like anyone, when I say Hong Kong listening, might be thinking concrete jungle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally like forests and hikes. And
anyway, it's mountainous, isn't it? That's why the rent is so high, because they can't really spread the city any further out.
Well, this is the second most expensive city in the whole world. I mean, I think London's number 11. People think London's expensive. Like when I moved back to London, like 5 years ago, I moved back from Hong Kong. After 20 years or so in Hong Kong, I moved back to London. Everyone's saying London's expensive. I'm like, no, it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap here to live and to compared to Hong Kong. But the opportunity is bigger in markets like Hong Kong. The tax rate's lower, so you can take more money home. So of course, things can be more expensive because you can earn more.
Do you think it's still the place it once was? Because I've heard a few things in the news that it's...
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we can get into the politics side. I mean, I think in the end, be careful what the media tell you. The media stuff is all generally designed to do one of two things: sell you advertising and get you to click. So some bullshit statement to make you click, which sticks in your mind as truth, and it isn't. It's just to get you to click. Or they have an agenda. Right. So in England, now when I came back, I realized that all the media is kind of like, England's great, at least we're not getting too many murders. At least we've got police that still turn up sometimes, it's somehow it's better than that other country, Have you heard about Cuba? Have you seen their cars? They're from the 60s. Oh, we've got new cars. Then it's all right, isn't it? Yeah. So it's like they show you all the really bad stuff. I think it's like that kind of psychology of life where if someone else is having a worse life than you, then your life isn't so bad. And I think that's what they do in the media. It's almost like part of the mandate for the government to give you a license to be a TV channel or to be a media player. You've got to make sure you make everywhere look a little bit worse than England, so that at least people don't complain too much about how shit England is.
Yeah, or everyone leaves.
Well, everyone leaves because if everyone told you the truth, if the media actually told you the truth, right? about Dubai, about Hong Kong, about these other markets and the opportunities in those markets, there would be no one left in England if they actually understood. Like, why there would be no one there? Why are you saying it? Is it for the food? Well, there's better food elsewhere. Is it for the amount of money you could earn? Well, there's better money elsewhere. Is it the tax rate? You're staying in England because the tax rate's good. Okay, families there. Okay, we'll move them somewhere where they can get proper medical care, or they can get real help. Like, people wouldn't stay. The whole of England would leave if they knew what I know.
But it's still good though, because you have returned after all these years.
I returned, yes. That's an interesting point. I returned, originally I sold my company and I could move anywhere I wanted in the world. And I made a list of all the places I want to live. And actually top of my list at that time was LA. And then Donald Trump got elected and I just couldn't bring myself to go and live there and see his picture at the airport. I just couldn't do it. So I changed my plan. And because I've got residency in the UK, the easiest thing when I was about to have a baby is just to fly back to England, right? Because I got residency. Honestly, it wasn't my first choice. Now I'm there, however, I feel a sense of like, I want to fucking fix it. I want to make it what it could be. I want Great Britain to be great. I don't want to say great again because I don't want one of those red stupid caps, but like, there is a real problem in England that can be fixed. It's all fixable. Yeah, so now I'm there, I want to fix it.
That camaraderie has just been lost. I feel like Britain has tried to make too many people happy, too many ethnicities happy, trying to just like let everybody in, that like it's not really been looking after the people who are actually British.
Yeah, I mean, what is British anyway? I mean, I don't even feel British now. When you introduce me as a guy from Britain, I feel like I'm a guy from Hong Kong, to be honest. I mean, I spent 20 years there. I spent my growing up years in England. I love English sense of humour. But otherwise, I don't know why I am. I don't think I'm British. I think I'm a hybrid. My wife is Chinese. My son is half Chinese. Like I feel like I'm a mix. I'm not, and I think that, you know, I actually like the diversity of London and Britain, that side of it. I think what I don't like is I don't like politics. I think the whole thing is broken, and no one's fixing it. A bit like the education system. It's all divisive. It's red versus blue. It's you versus me. I mean, I don't know who listening to your podcast today has actually ever read a manifesto from a political party. But it's all bollocks. You know, if you actually read it, there's no way you'd vote for the party with all. They just, all of those policies are like hidden inside a massive document that no one reads. My mum voted in the past for Tony Blair because he was handsome. I'm like, but what are his policies? What does he actually care about? Like, genuinely care about? Like, I don't want him to do it on a poll on what we care about and therefore say that's what we want so he gets the votes. I want to know what they really think and what they really want to do to make the country better. But none of them operate that way.
Would you ever get into politics?
I thought about it, but to be honest, and I even hired a political advisor when I moved back to England. I thought, right, maybe I'll get into politics. Maybe that's how I can fix this country that was once great. And then I really got a lesson on how it works, like how the inner workings of politics is. And like the first thing the consultant said to me was like, okay, these are the things you have to say you believe to get elected based on data, right? So for example, Brexit. I don't believe in Brexit, but if you want to get elected right now, you have to say you like it. I could never agree with it. It doesn't make any sense. As a business, why would you cut off a trading partner? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you? It just does. I would never agree with it. Now, does it need fixing the relationship with the EU? Yes. Like any deal, you can renegotiate and fix it. Should you just get rid of it? No. But to get elected, I'd have to say that. So I can't lie. I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the whole Brexit thing's been a nightmare for my clothing business, like the import tax and everything.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I can think of thousands of people that have come into my DMs telling me what a nightmare it's caused their business, that problem. So how can we be a great country exporting all over the world if we've just cut off one of the markets that was working for a lot of people in Britain?
Yeah. Did you go to university in the UK? No.
I left school at 15.
15.
Started a business. No choice.
What was the first one?
Gardening company.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm so bad at
I did a bit of that when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think it was my dad that got me into that, because I was at school and during the holidays, I never had any money. And my dad, if he was ever going to give me money, he would make me work for it. And he said, look, why don't you just, you garden our house, like you mow the lawn, you do a bit of the weeds and everything. Go and do that for other people's houses. Go around, walk around, knock on the doors and ask them if they need any gardening. And then I was lucky to find this one client, I guess you could say, that had this massive manor. I think it was in the Ilkley Moor or something. So I spent the whole summer looking after that huge property. After one entire week of going through everything, it was time to do it all over
think
again.
those sorts of examples, like what a lot of people say to me, I can't start a business, I haven't got money. I'm like, it's a step-by-step process. Start a service company and build up. But a lot of, I say this carefully, like a lot of people just are lazy.
Yeah.
Me included, right? So you can't just want success, you've got to need success, right? So I only started a gardening company because I'm definitely lazy. I only started a gardening company because I needed it. I wouldn't have anywhere to live if I didn't do it. I wouldn't eat if I didn't do it. I couldn't get a job because I was 15 years old. You need a national insurance card. I couldn't get a job. I had to do it. And I wasn't a good gardener. I didn't know anything about gardening. Well, I still don't really, to be honest, because I then brought people in eventually to do it. I mean, I wouldn't be able to identify the correct flowers and what you should do. You know, I can cut grass. Yeah, that's all right. But I think if people are listening, I'm thinking, I've got no money, I want to start a business. I'm like, clean some fucking windows, you know, like do some gardening, clean cars. The good thing about all of those things is they're not glamorous. You can instantly make money. You can knock on a door and there's not much marketing costs. It's cash flow positive because people pay you as soon as you've done the work. And you learn how to get a client, how to sell, how to hire people, because that's what I did. I had to bring people in to help me do the gardens. Like all of the skills you need to do something much bigger, much more exciting, all get built in that like wax on, wax off Karate Kid shit, that like learning to do the basics. So
yeah, it's not like AI is going to take over that job, at least just yet. There's
AI's got better things to do. Yeah. So and as a kid, like it's just great. It's just great experience. Like trying to hire people to do the gardens for me was just great experience. You know, like people telling me to fuck off or not even turning up, and you know,
working in the rain,
or even like wanting to charge me more because when they got to the garden it was more work than they thought, and I end up losing money on a client I got. You know, like all of these things you learn in such a simple shitty business. That groundwork of running that crappy gardening company has allowed me to run the business I'm running today, like a tech company.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to run this tech company today I'm building without doing the shitty gardening when I was 15 years old. I wouldn't, because you learn all the things. It's all basic skills that anyone can learn that school should be teaching people. School's fucked as well, right? The education system's totally like upside down. It teaches you exactly the opposite. Like memorization equals intelligence. Getting an A means you're smart. That's all bollocks, right? So like to me, like education, you want a real education, go start a business. You'll learn more in 6 months starting a business than any business school 4-year degree or MBA or any shit university education teaching you marketing. Forget that. When I just interviewed someone who'd been 4 years marketing, 4 years, spent £56,000, 4 years of their life doing a marketing degree. And I said to them, they wanted to join the company. I'm like, tell me the 4 ways TikTok makes money. If you're on TikTok, how can you make money? The 4 ways. No idea. I'm not really on TikTok. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why is TikTok getting banned in America? No idea. How does the data system work on the back end of Instagram? No idea. How does the algorithm work on YouTube? No idea. Tell me what you do know. Well, bookings.com 1995 almost went bankrupt. Who gives a fuck? You know, like it just drives me crazy because university is literally part of the trap that people end up on. It's a treadmill. They come out of that university job, they have to get a job to pay off the debt, or they've got so trained into a system that tells them to get a job to make them look good, get a brand behind them, right? So my niece, 3rd generation entrepreneur family I've got, my niece is an entrepreneur, but she went into university and then she came out with a degree, and then she had to go get a job at Body Shop that have just gone bankrupt. She should be doing her own business. You know, like you really want to learn, forget all that stuff. Now, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, okay, fine. You've got no choice now but to go to university to do those things, right? Tesla couldn't get a job at Tesla, right? I understand. The system's definitely got people cornered. If you want to do certain professions, you have to go to university. That's just, unfortunately, the way it is. But for everything else, like 90% of people, it's because they don't know what else to do. And there's no other alternative. And that has to fucking change. I'm going to fix the education system. That's a big part of my mandate now. Yeah. That can't carry on.
I think you're right. I mean, I went to school, went to private school, did the whole university thing. I think university was a massive disappointment because I went there thinking that it was going to teach me how to run a business. And like even within the first year, it was just like all theory, all like textbooks, graphs, equations, maths. And I was getting taught by people who'd never run a business in their life.
Just go to the car park of any university and see, you know, like it's just, these people aren't the people. Don't get me wrong. I actually have a lot of respect for teachers. And most of the teachers I meet, a bit like police and a bit like firefighters, they care about people. You know, they're doing that job because they care. It's a hard job. They're also restricted. But I just can't believe in 2024, like I think this is the future. We're still measuring people about whether or not they can remember some shit that doesn't matter. You know, like Google's telling us this shit. It was when I was young, it was pointless. Now it's even more pointless. Like, we just ask Google. I can literally talk in this room now, hey, Amazon, blah, blah, blah. It will tell me. I don't need to remember that shit. It's using up my brain for the wrong thing. Now, you can get into conspiracy theories. I'm pretty much, I'm totally convinced at this point that we all know the system's a fucking broken system and we're not fixing it.
Yeah.
You know, Rishi Sunak recently said, let's teach people maths until 18. I'm like, what are you saying maths for? Financial literacy. We want financial literacy. I've got a fucking calculator. I don't need to learn maths. I need to learn how accounts work. I need to know how money works. That's all teachable. Anyone can learn it. I mean, I was on GB News, not my favorite channel, but they had me on, and they had on after me the education minister. So they kept me on after interviewing me to talk to the education minister. And I asked him live on TV, millions of people listening. I'm like, hey, why don't we teach financial literacy in school and give people that knowledge? It's like, Simon, your story was very inspirational. I just heard. But I think that at the end of the day, that stuff can't be taught. You need to do it in the real world. What a load of bollocks. What are we talking about? Like, the education minister thinks something can't be taught.
Yeah.
It's just not right.
I think there's something weird going on. I feel like,
but we all know it as well, right? All your listeners will know that the education system's generally broken, right? Except for maybe 10% of people that love to remember things, and maybe they need a particular way of learning to become a lawyer or a doctor to remember all the laws. To remember, okay, but for 90% of people, like, marketing degrees should not be at university. Marketing degrees should be either start your own company or go work in a company. Right, that's how you're going to learn marketing. Or start going live on social media, or do some posts yourself. You want to learn marketing? Do marketing. There's no sitting for 4 years with a professor that doesn't know shit about TikTok telling you how to do marketing for 4 years. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hope when you go back, well, you're now there, that you can actually do something about it. Well, I think it's going to take something big, but yeah, something needs to change. Yeah, for sure.
I think the first thing is just, like, we all know it. It's just, you know, we need to talk about it. I'm on TikTok educating people for free. I just put a YouTube video up that I could have made millions of pounds putting it behind a paywall.
I was going to say, that was, I watched that. I got more value out of that than I did throughout the whole. You read the comments, and I'm not, you know, I'm not bigging myself up, but you read the comments in that video, and people are like, I spent 4 years learning business, and this 2-hour, 26-minute video is better than that. They spent 4 years of their life, which is very big sunken cost, time. Most valuable thing you've got, 4 years. Forget the 50 grand of debt. Not every country has that problem, but 4 years of your life. And then a 2-hour, 26-minute video from me. I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm just a fucking normal person. That helped them more than that degree. Well, it's like 2.5 million views already.
Yeah, in a week.
Which says a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's just insane. So I'm trying to fix the education system by leading from the front, not charging a course fee. I'm not charging anything. It's free. There you go. Right? And other people are following me. It's just give people the knowledge they need, because we want everyone to be rich. Right? People can't grasp this. If you have a divide, rich and poor, the rich are fucked, the poor are fucked. It's fucked. And people think everyone can't be rich. People listening to this, I say everyone could be rich. They'll be like, no, not everyone could be rich. I was in China, right, in 1997 till 2017. I watched 400 million people go from poor to middle class. That was good for the country, right? More civilized, people more respectful. The whole world benefited, especially America. You know, like, it's just good for the whole world if everyone gets rich, and everyone should be rich. And it's stupid to hold back knowledge, education system to not be fixed. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's why you end up, you know, in a conspiracy theory bracket, because it's like, why is it? We all know it's broken, but we're not doing anything about it. Why? So,
is there any education system that you think is doing a good job in any country right now?
There are certain education models that are better. I like the Scandinavian education model more. There's a couple of things. They start young later. So, like 7, like my kid has to go to school legally at 5, right? I mean, you know, it's too early, because you should just be playing. You know, like, you should just be in your tribe, making fire, going to the forest, making some stuff, coming back. Like, I moved to a forest so my son can do that. Like, I just want him to live, right? Hang out with his parents, see what his parents do, learn from us, right? That's how it should be. 5 is too early, so they go later. The second thing they do, they banned all private schools. Right, I'm someone who can afford a private school, and I put my kid originally into a private school, but it's wrong, because when you have private school and you have general education model, like the free education model, if you have private school, all the money, all the resources, all the talented teachers, all of the people that actually are passionate about generally move to the private school because it's better economics. And I'm not saying this is true for all of the domestic schools, but they end up being underfunded and under supported. Whereas if you mix the two, the rich people then help make sure those schools are good for all because their kids are in it.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, it's controversial. I'd never get elected in any political party if I said this. I'd ban all private schools. But it's not really going to solve the big problem. The real big problem is the way in which we measure everything within a school system, like how success is considered your grades and therefore the school's grades. So the school kicks people out that don't get good enough grades because then they don't get good enough grades and therefore they don't get enough pupils because parents and system believe grades equal success within a school education system. Right? They're not measuring EQ. They're not measuring common sense learning. They're not the things that they're measuring that they need to change. Right? And I think like the practical skills, the things that AI can't do, I don't want to say gardening because it makes it sound so basic, but like the real life skills that we need to survive, like money, how money works, that needs to be taught. Why isn't it? Like, we're all thinking, anyone listening to this podcast knows I'm right. It's a problem. And then we just kind of go, oh, well, we can't. And it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's not just England, by the way. This is every country. That's the really bizarre thing. And we all know the history of education in the last 100 years. This was created by Henry Ford and Carnegie. And they literally said it. Right? They literally said it. It's like Scientology, the guy that wrote Scientology. He literally said it. It's bullshit. Right? The guys that created the education system and funded it said, I don't want people to think, I want people to work. They want people to turn up to the job in the factory. It's changed now. It's more like an office, but it's the same fucking model. Turn up to the factory, do the job, go on one holiday a year because that's good for the economy. That's extra business money. Buy a car because we need you to be able to buy a car. And then come back to fucking work because you're so ignorant. That's what you've got to do. Right? And this day and age, I'm starting to blame people themselves. Like, there's no excuse. The knowledge is actually out there on YouTube. It is out there.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah. And you know, stop making excuses would be one part of it. I think we've got to stop. Parents need to do a better job of education. But the problem is those kids, those second, third generation parents don't even have financial knowledge. I know people in their 50s, they don't understand that the house that they're living in on an account structure would be considered a liability, not an asset. If I ask them, is your house you're living in an asset or a liability? It's like, an asset. I'm like, no, it's a liability. No, it's worth money. Then sell it. Where are you going to live? Sell it. What are you going to do with the money? Don't know. Buy another house. They don't fucking understand how money works. 50 years old. So how can they teach their kids? And all of it's learnable.
What will you do to ensure that you've got one at the moment?
Got a 6-year-old.
6-year-old. You can have more?
Don't think my wife will let me. Yeah.
So how are you going to ensure that he's just going to be brought up with all this drive, ambition, and knowledge that you want him to have? Because I mean, obviously you're very successful. You obviously not struggling for money. So how are you going to make him appreciate the value of money?
I think about this a lot because my son, not only do I've experienced unconditional love, which is something I've never really understood until I had a kid, right? This word unconditional love, like I just love my kids so much. But I also know that I know how the system is. So I'm motivated to fix the system in part because I want him to live in a better world when I'm gone. And then I think about his education. So I think first thing to recognize is that everybody's different. Okay, so the first thing I spend a lot of time is understanding what my son wants, not what I want, right? And that's what's the problem with the present education system. It's about what the education system wants. It's not about what the individual pupil wants. And I think in the future, like even medical care, everything's going to be about what you need. So right now, pharmaceutical companies will give you vitamin C, 1,000 mg, and then that's what you take. But that's probably not what you need. Right? We need to do a test on you and say, actually, you as a human being, you're tight, you only need 60. But it's not good for the pharmaceutical company because then they have to tailor make everything. And that's not mass production system we have today, right? I think the school system is exactly the same analogy. It's like you need to look at the individual and you need to understand, I think it's led by their passions. So I'll give you a really good example. My son, if I said maths or geography or politics, he's 6. He doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff, right? And in the school system, at 6 years old, they're trying to teach kids that stuff, right? History, maths, right? Instead, This is the way I deal with it. My son says, Daddy, that road map's really interesting. Oh, wow, look, why is this big round circle road in the middle of London? What's that? I'm like, well, that's not in the middle of London. That's the M25. And for your listeners overseas, this is the biggest road in England and it goes around London. He's like, oh, wow, why? I'm like, well, and then we start looking at the history of why that road got built. And he's like, Daddy, how much did it cost? And then we start looking at the finances and how it got funded and how it was over budget and why it was over budget and who fucked it up. And then we get into politics, who tried to block it and when and why. And it's like, why did they try to block it? Why did that man not say he wanted to do it? I'm like, he wanted to get re-elected. Next thing you know, he's like in politics, maths, geography, where the concrete came from to build the fucking road, yeah? All of these things are not separate subjects. It's an integrated thing based around what you're interested in, which is why I think business is brilliant. Because when you start a business, you have to learn all of these things, even if you don't want to understand how to build a business. So I don't like maths. I'm not, but I learned accounts because I built businesses. And if I don't understand how profit and loss works, it won't work. Do I want to learn accounts? No. Do I actually end up hiring an accountant always, any business I start? Yes. I know my weaknesses, but at least I know I have to learn it and it motivates me to learn it because I know that's how I'm going to end up doing something I love.
Well, I imagine that the first business, the gardening, that probably wasn't something you loved.
No, I definitely think like purpose is something you're either born with. Some people are lucky. It comes to you early in life. For me, purpose came after a lot of tragedy, after a lot of hardship. I found my purpose after a lot of pain. Right, which I think that's also a good thing. Happens to a lot of people too, right?
This was pain, what, like in the business world or personal?
Personal. Yeah, my father died at 15.
Okay.
I was 15. He died in front of me when I was 15 years old, suddenly of a heart attack, and was gone. And then I had an argument with my mum, and she kicked me out of home, and I became homeless.
So that's why you needed the money.
So then I had to start a business because I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
Right. But from all that pain and all that hardship came this need to do something, because that's the other thing, right? People are listening and thinking, okay, I don't know my purpose, right? I know how to help people find their purpose, but let's just say people don't know how to find, they don't have a purpose right now. First of all, they're not giving themselves time to even ask that question because it sounds woo-woo to a lot of people, but like you should spend time thinking about it. Like, what do you like to do? Just start there. Things you like to do, things you don't like to do. Because school system, again, will say, oh, you're not good at biology, so you need to get a tutor, you need to get better at that. No. Fuck that. You don't like biology, don't do biology. Focus on the stuff you like doing because it will naturally push you to learn, right? If you like it, you will learn all the things and you'll push yourself through the pain of doing that learning, right? Because learning is hard. Right? I always tell people, starting a business is hard. It's hard at the beginning, but gets easier over time. Whereas working for someone else is easy at the beginning, gets harder over time. Right? Do the hard thing early, as quickly as you can, right?
What's your thoughts on doing something that you're passionate about versus something that you're really good at doing? Because you could be really, really good at doing something, but you maybe don't enjoy it that much. But if you execute it and continue with that thing that you're really good at, it could obviously lead to something pretty great or make you a lot of money.
I don't see many people good at something they don't like.
Yeah.
Because they've had to practice at it to get good at it. There's nothing comes instant. No, unless you, even Tiger Woods or Federer, these guys are practicing all the time. They're naturally talented at it. But I mean, I don't know. I've always loved sales. Now it's called marketing because it sounds cooler. But I've always loved that, like how to sell something, how to bring people on board in your company, how to get an investor excited about your business, or like bringing building a tribe, that's how I see sales, like building a community. Yeah, I love that.
How old are you when you discovered that you liked that?
Day I knocked on that door at 15.
Really?
Yeah, because like I'd never done sales in my life. I didn't know I could sell. I don't think anyone realizes everyone can sell. My best salesperson in my last company was my accountant, right? Anyone can sell. But I knocked on that door and I was desperate. And I basically said, I'll take care of your garden. Would you pay me to do it? And he said, sure, how much? And I said, I just picked a number. I said, £200 a month? And he said, sure. It's like the euphoria of like having an idea in your head and then turning it into money. Like, this is brilliant. Like, why wasn't I taught this at school? I was 13 years in school at that point, and I didn't know anything. Like, a little bit of biology, a little bit of Second World War history. No one had taught me about this thing, that you can make it real, this in your head. You turn it into money. I have a funny relationship with money, but it turned into money in that moment, right? Which is just energy. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is a revelation to me. And from that moment onwards, I was like, I knocked on the next door and they told me to fuck off, right? So luckily, the first door, and I think luck plays a huge part in anyone's life.
Yeah.
Luckily, the first person said yes. And I felt that like, oh my God, I can get myself out of the shit that I'm in. I can get myself out of it. Anyone listening right now who's in financial trouble, you can get yourself out of it. It's possible.
Do you ever think what you would have done if you had like 20 back-to-back rejections?
I think that day, it was a Saturday. I remember it like it was yesterday. I knocked on over 100 doors that day, and I got 11 people to say yes to me being their gardener. Now I realized that was a fucking high hit rate.
Yeah.
You know, I should have got 1, 2, right? So something happened that day. There's a fate. I don't know what it was. It was meant to happen. I got so lucky. I was so lucky I was homeless. I was so lucky I was kicked out. I was like, Jesus Christ, I've just learned something that's game changing.
That's absolutely wild for 15 years old.
I thought I was mature as well. I was 15 years old. I thought I knew it all.
Well, I think when you lose a parent, you instantly become extremely mature, whether you like it or not.
Well, yeah. Also, I had 3 brothers. I think I grew up in quite an intense and quite intellectual family. So you sharpen up early because otherwise you get picked on.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, like you learn to stand up for yourself quite young. I mean, that's the benefit, I guess, of having older brothers, younger brothers. Like you fight all the time. And I felt at 15 years old, I mean, I know now I was a kid, but I didn't think I was a kid back then. You know, I thought I'm ready for this. And if you think back on history, like, I mean, we're dying at 30. 15 years old is like midlife.
Yeah.
You know, you get married at 15. I'm not saying we should do that again, but I'm like conceptually like, I fucking needed that. I needed to go there and hunt. I needed to leave my home and hunt. I was forced to do it. But actually at 15 years old, I was like, right, I'm a warrior. Let's go. Let's go. Let's learn the skills to hunt. And how are you going to do it? You're not going to read how to hunt from a textbook, are you? Pick the javelin up and throw it. No, you got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Right? You got to get in there and like face the lion, look at it and go, this thing can kill me. How am I going to survive? An analogy equivalent is a gardening company came along and tried to kill me. Right? Another company that tried to take the business I just won. Right? And they had fancy equipment and brochure and all the cool stuff. I beat them. I beat the lion. Right? And once you beat a lion, you're a man. You know what I mean? Like, history is the same. History tell you the future. That's basically the modern day equivalent. Like, I'm hunting. It's natural. I'm meant to get up every day and leave that cave and hunt. We're not meant to sit in the cave and someone bring us a fish every day. And then one day we're like, can I have another fish, please? Do you mind a pay rise? Do you mind if I have a pay rise? And you're like, no, 3 months' time we'll do a 360 review. No, I need more fish. I've just had a baby in the cave. No. And then you're scared to leave the cave because you don't know how to fish. You're like, I better just do what they say and sit here and wait for them to give me a pay rise. Fuck that, right? You leave the cave and go and fish. It's fun. It'll be raining and cold. You'll be with your mates. You'll have a laugh. It's meant to be out there doing shit. Whether that's, and by the way, in case anyone starts giving me any shit in the comments about like men going out and hunting and women going out and hunting, both went out and hunt, and men and women stayed and cooked. Right? It all depended on, again, what you like doing. Some of the old day tribal systems, you had like pepper grinders and stuff. They were fucking heavy. They needed men to help with cooking, right? And some liked to cook, and some women like to cook, and some women like to hunt, and some men like to hunt. And they used to go out and do their thing, right? Tribal system is pretty interesting. And I've spent a lot of time trying to understand human nature, and in particular tribes, right? And if you understand how tribes work, you can understand how the world works, how it used to work, and how we used to survive, how we survived so long before the fucking internet, right? And before we had all these shit systems. One of the biggest scams out there today is a system we were taught at the beginning of the education system 100 years ago, which is give and take. So your listeners are going to hear this and going to think, I help you and you help me. Sounds perfectly reasonable, right? That's right. I'll help you, you help me. Yeah, it's kind of fair. Yeah, so we'll do a podcast together. I'll promote you, you promote me. I've got a big following, you got a big following. We'll help each other. All sounds reasonable, yeah? It's literally what's caused wars, this concept. And I think it's meant millions of people haven't got help they needed. In my personal opinion, it's caused a lot of people who are probably listening to this podcast a lot of pain without realizing it. I tell you why. In tribal times, the way we worked was, you come to me with a problem because I'm the person to help you with that problem, right? You're probably not the person to even help me with my problem, right? So I help you because I can and because I should. I help you, and then you go on to help someone else because you've got a skill they need. And then they go on to help someone else. And then one day, 2 years from now, I have a mental health issue and someone will help me. Now, taxman wants everything taxed, right? So I have to have a tradable system. If I don't charge you, there's no tax. So it shouldn't be give and take. The way we should live is give without take. And I've been living this way for the last 5 years. I tell you what, I've never been richer. I've never been happier. The system I was taught when I lived in England under the education system is like everything's a transaction. You've got to get something before you give something. You get told stupid things like there's no, good deed goes unpunished to stop you doing a good deed. Stupid.
At what point did you pivot, change your mind?
I think it was a gradual process of deprogramming.
Yeah.
Like I went through the education system for 13 years, but I didn't finish the indoctrination. I didn't finish the program that the system sets for you, because I remember the school system telling me you could be a really good hairdresser. Nothing wrong with being a hairdresser, right? But like you could be a good hairdresser. Oh, by the way, the factory in St. Neots, where I grew up, the town I grew up in, you could get 500 quid a week working there. I think you could buy yourself a stereo and something. Like who doesn't want a stereo? 15 years old. Yeah, all right. You're like, what? That's literally what they told me. And I think because I didn't finish the treadmill, I fell off it. It's like waking up. And I think my true awakening, though, the time that I was fully aware that everything I've been taught in the education system and in the present media system was total bollocks, was when I went to Hong Kong. I literally sat on the harbour in that city. I had a preconception of what a communist city looked like and how China was. I was just like, these are just normal people. Like they're laughing over there. Look, they're cuddling their kids. Wow, this food's fucking awesome. Oh my God, tax rate's only 15% and there's no double taxation system. This is fucking amazing. Like, wow, this isn't what I thought. Like, and that's when I started like, hold on a minute. Everything I've learned for the last 20 years is just total bollocks. The world is fucking huge and there's enormous opportunity and humans are amazing. We're not like, you're D, you're dumb, you're A, you're smart. That is total bollocks, right? Like,
I can never have an opinion on a country or city if I've never been there myself.
But people do.
Yeah.
Like media do. I mean, I've met reporters giving a report on Hong Kong who've never been there. Like, don't get me wrong, no city is perfect. I'm in Dubai right now. Everyone's telling me, oh, how are the floods? And a couple of days, it's gone.
Yeah.
People won't come here now for a while because they'll think there's floods. Like, you fucking idiots. It was like, they wanted to get you to click the news headlines. Yeah, there was some floods. They're gone.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Like, it's just, I think the media, again, I don't like the word conspiracy theories. I'm just going to call them theories that are fucking true. The media wants to make money.
Yeah.
So how does the media make money? And I have this from like very high level media people. They fucking make up the headlines to get the click.
Negative.
Yeah. Sometimes the article tries to be true depending on the media. I mean, The Sun just did a story on me saying that I bought a fucking Lamborghini and I'm worth 500 million pounds. I'm like, where the fuck did you get this information from? Like they printed it full on.
They did an article on me a few years ago saying how I was worth 8 million. I'm like, where the fuck?
What the hell did they get it from? You think they'd at least ring me?
Yeah.
And say, just want to check, is it 500 million or 450 at the moment, depending on your share price of your fucking company? Like, do some fucking due diligence, for God's sake. Right. And then I've got people sending me messages like,
have some money, please.
Exactly, you've got 500 million. And I'm like, I had to increase the security at my home, actually, on a serious level. Like, I had to add some cameras and add another lock to one of my gates, like, because maybe they'll kidnap my kid now because there's something about a story that isn't fucking true. But they got the clicks though. It was the number one story on the online for a while. This last week. So I'm like, all right, great. You got a number one story. You got some advertising revenue, you fuckers. What about my life you've just affected and my kid now that might get kidnapped?
Fuck. Why do you think that came about? You think just because like a YouTube
I've been
video
trending in the algorithms lately. My name's been trending in the algorithms. So someone on the data side said, write a story about Simon Squibb. That'll get us some traffic.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. That's what they always do. All these celebrities, they only write about them because they get traffic. People are searching. They want to, find out about that person. Fucking take that traffic. Fuck the consequences of the human being on the other end that you've made a lie up about. I don't own a Lamborghini. I'm not worth 500 million. Right? It's just do your fucking due diligence.
750 million.
Yeah, I'm at 1.6 billion. I worked hard to make 1.6 billion, you fuckers. At least get it right. But you know what I mean? Like beyond the personal damage that sort of stuff does to humans, it's distorting the truth as well for young people. You know, and I think that it needs to change. And it's not a conspiracy theory. What I've just described there is not a conspiracy theory. It's just happened. The media make up stuff, but people trust these things. I know people that actually trust the Sun to get their political information.
I think more people are waking up, but there's still an alarming amount of people who are getting all their information from either social media, like these unofficial reports or posts, or from these newspapers like The Sun. But it's interesting because I think that is the one downside of building a personal brand and actually starting to get famous. Because there is
fame is bullshit. Anyone listening to the podcast should never chase fame.
Yeah,
I was rich and not famous, and in some respect, my life was a lot better. Now I'm rich and famous. It's a pain in the ass. I never chase fame.
And you're going to become, if you keep putting out these banging videos that you've been doing, you're just going to get more famous.
Yeah, and it's something I've had a very deep conversation with my team and with my wife about. It's something I really struggle with. I actually had no idea what fame was. Yeah, like I heard fame. It sounds like a good word, right? Fame, kind of. It's fucking awful. It disrupts your life in so many levels. Like people do not chase fame, but there is a caveat I will make. If you have a mission, a purpose, it's like a sacrifice to be famous.
Yeah.
Right. So I sometimes, and I don't care about any actors. I don't care about these people that are famous. Unless they do something with that fame, right? Like DiCaprio, for example, goes out and pushes climate change. You can argue whether or not he's doing anything, but conceptually, he uses his fame to try and shed light on a subject that we should be talking about. That is valuable fame, in my opinion, right? So not fame to sell product. That's not valuable, but fame to make a difference. I personally made a conscious decision, and it's to the detriment of my life, that fame will shed light on this need to make a change, fix the education system, and I'm willing to endure it. But I've had to make a lot of changes to endure it, increase my security, make sure that my life is tight. I can't have my personal address online. I can't have my personal number online, which has got online. My phone rings off the hook, and I just have to. I've had to learn how to deal with it, and I'm still dealing with it. Even the hate as well, which is weird. I find you get a lot of hate online, right?
I think that's like a sign that you've made it, or like the moment that your video has got to the point where it's starting to go viral, the comments start getting really weird.
Yeah,
because you're reaching uncharted territory in your audience. It's the way it's always going to be. Like, you could literally be trying your best just to help people. People just gonna have a go at you.
Yeah, totally. It's like, and the thing is, like, I think that it's really interesting on the hate side, because like good luck and bad luck are both still luck, right? So like I've discovered in my life, all the bad luck I've had, even though at the time I changed it to today, has turned into be good luck somehow in some way. Equally good luck, I've had good luck, has turned somehow into bad luck at points as well, right? But I think that same with bad comments and people that don't like you, something good comes out of it all too. I mean, sometimes the videos do well because there's a lot of hate in the comments, the algorithm's like, oh, these people are interested in it, it delivers it up to more people. So you help more people thanks to the haters.
You've mentioned that luck is hackable. What do you mean by that?
So luck is very hackable. And there's only one caveat, like 2% of your life is not hackable. That 2% is where you're born, right? The whole saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? That's what people will hear when I say luck is hackable. That is bollocks. That is absolute crap. How hard are you going to work to be born in the right country? Statistically, it will make a huge difference to your life, right? Whether you've got access to, like, if you're born in Silicon Valley, high chance you can build a company that will get funded. Like where you are located will have a dramatic effect on your life. So you can't really hustle and work hard to be born in the right place, right? That part of your life you can't really hack. You need an element of luck. However, being born into a difficult situation, let's take, a famous boxer, maybe Mike Tyson's born in the ghetto. Sounds like bad luck at the beginning, but at one point, he then has to get tough and fights, becomes a world champion. If he hadn't had that bad luck and be born in a bad place or have that bad experience when he was young, he wouldn't have become a boxer. Forget the rest of the story of Tyson because that's still being written. But the point I'm making is like 2% of your life is not hackable. It is down to that part. But how you deal with that bad luck or good luck does make a difference. And that's where the 98% of your life can be hacked. And basically it's 3 steps to it. First is how much risk are you willing to take? That's the truth. The more risk you take, the luckier you get. Nothing to do with hard work. I made the most amount of money when I brought people in to run my companies, not when I was running the companies. I built them and then I brought someone else in to run them who knew what they were fucking doing, right? So I worked less hard, made more money, had more successful businesses. Working hard, getting luck is a lie. It's a lie to get you to work hard. The more risk you take. I took risk. I hired very senior people. I paid them really well and I brought them in to run their business. I took a risk. I earned more. I worked less, right? Taking risks. The second thing is know your destination. Because most people don't. What's your goal? What's your mission? What's your purpose? What's success? Where are you going? Can you get in a car and don't know where you're going and expect to be successful in that journey, right? And now I think the final thing for me is always, if you want to hack luck, and I've actually researched this intensely, so it's my opinion, but I've researched it. It's like, you've got to have a purpose, right? You've got to have a thing that motivates you every day to do it. Basically, persistence. So it's take risk, know your destination, and persistence, right? And they all interlink, but you got to follow through. It's just that simple, right? My first big success was a company called Fluid, which I sold to PricewaterhouseCoopers, the largest accounts company in the whole world, for an enormous amount of money, more money than I'll ever need, because I didn't stop. Now, I didn't stop because I enjoyed it. Because I took risk and brought people in to help me run it.
What was Fluid about?
Basically, it was a McKinsey kind of model, a creative agency mixed with consultancy and innovation. So we used to help big brands like CNN figure out how to get more views or how to help big brands get into China, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And, you know, the whole business only succeeded because I followed those 3 things I just said about hacking luck. I took more risk. I knew where I was going. I wanted to be the #1 creative agency in the world, right? PwC will take it there, but I had that. I brought people in under that mantra, and I knew exactly, ultimately, that I enjoyed doing it, and I wasn't going to stop, right? And when I didn't want to run it anymore, I didn't stop and shut it down. I brought someone else in to run it. I didn't stop. You know, you got to.
So someone who's basically just the CEO, or
yeah, he ran the company. Yeah. I was a CEO at the beginning because, you know, when you start a business, you can't justify hiring a CEO, and I didn't know what I needed in the early days, and I wasn't as knowledgeable about business when I first started. I started Fluid, 2001. So some people listening won't have even been born yet when I started that company, but like, oh, that was not the time to bring someone in to run the company. I mean, the stages, and at certain points, I'm the right person. I love building things. I don't like big companies, and I don't want to be trapped in my own business. A lot of people listening who have a business often get trapped in their own business because they think they're the only person who can do it all. Yeah. So at some point, you've got to move away from like you running the business and start going from what we call generalist model, where I can do everything and Simon Squibb can do everything, to a specialist model and saying, right, well, who's the best person to build a 500 people company? It's not me. Or 1,000 people company. It's not me. But I'm great to build a 50 people company. From 0 to 50 people, I'm pretty good. I would say I'm one of the best.
You said bigger businesses are easier to run compared to the
They
small.
are easier to run. So I can have a 500 people company, but I'm not running it.
Yeah.
And even the CEO, it's easier for him to run because now he can fly business class because there's more money in the company, and he can get middle management he's on the golf course too.
So like, I feel like when it gets to that point for you, you're like, okay, the challenge is kind of gone. I want to start a new one.
Yeah. Again, what you just said though, I'd love listeners to really pick up on this because this is not explained enough. I'm about to release a video on this exact subject. It's easier to run a big company than a small company. Most people start out, I just want to build a small business. It's fine if it's a lifestyle choice, and I totally accept that. But just remember, a big company is much easier to run than a small company. That is not what people think. It is not true that a small business is better. You have a small business and you go on holiday, you often don't have revenue anymore. Or you have 3 people in your company and one leaves, well, you're fucked. You lose one client, you're fucked. Whereas if you've got thousands of clients and thousands of people, I don't want to personally run a 500, 600, 700 man company, which I think the biggest companies in the world in the future are only going to be small numbers of people anyway, thanks to AI and all the rest of it. But the point is, I don't want to run that, and I don't need to. I can still own it. I don't need to run it, because once you get to that scale, you can pay people that know what they're doing to run it at that level.
Maybe you could argue is that those people don't want the responsibility.
Sure. But then again, they don't know what that responsibility is.
Yeah.
So they're fearful of something they don't actually understand. Most of the people I meet that have a small business, they don't know what a big business is. They've not been educated about it. So they think it's scary. They think it's hard. They think it's more responsibility. It's less responsibility. You're dividing up the responsibility. But that being said, I mean, I've had small businesses, I've had big businesses. It's stages in life as well on a personal level. Yeah. Like when my son was born, I said to my team, when I was starting out what we're building now, I was like, I personally don't want to run a big team. I want a team of about maximum 15 people, a little mini army, like the SAS. That's what I want. Now, each member of my team has the ability to run a 500-man team, and they're young, so they want to. I don't want to do that. I've done that. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to have my little army of 15 SAS soldiers, and they may build their own little armies to do what needs to get done. I won't be running those armies. I'll be running my 15 SAS team, right? Because I like that size. It's like a family. Like we're in Dubai at the moment. We're staying together. It's fun.
Yeah.
For me, my personality, this stage of my life where I've got a kid and I want to spend time with him as well. I don't want to manage 1,000 people and their needs. That's not the stage I'm at. So I think that's the other thing. You've got, like you just said, you've got to look at your stage as well and what you want. But once you understand how business works, I think people will realize that you don't. I know a lot of people who should be running big businesses, but they're running small businesses because they don't know how to run a big business. They don't know how to build a big business. And they think it's more scary than having a small business. It's not. If you're sick, your business stops, right? If you don't turn up tomorrow, no more revenue, potentially, most businesses. That's a huge risk. Why would you put yourself? I know someone running a farm. I was just looking at buying a farm, and they were showing me what they do. They haven't gone on holiday in 26 years because they look after cows. Every morning they have to get up and feed the cows, and every single day they have to make sure the cows are okay. They haven't gone on holiday in 26 years. Honestly, I was like, let me take it over for a week and you go on holiday. I'm like, man, I can't look after cows. But the point is,
somebody else but
they can't afford to bring anyone in to look after the cows because the big supermarkets basically price control how much they get paid. They can't literally find anyone that they could afford that would be able to come in and look after those cows. It's like they've not had a holiday in 26 years.
What would you do in that situation?
I'd open a supermarket selling milk.
Actually, yeah.
I mean, that's what kind of the farm shop movement is about, right?
Yeah.
It's like you go straight back up to the food chain that's causing you this pain in the first place. The milk is actually quite profitable. The cow, you feed them, they produce milk. The milk's actually like fresh milk. People want it. Put it in a nice glass jar with a proper label on it, farm shop milk. Big money. Turn it into ice cream, do an ice cream brand, be bigger than Haagen-Dazs. Haagen-Dazs is full of shit. Yeah. I just want it straight from the cows into the ice cream. Perfect. Ice cream would be cool. Ice cream shop, and open up a farm shop, and then I make farm shop branded, and I expand it all over Britain. I take out Tesco's. Fuck those people making me work 26 years without a holiday. Yeah. They don't work for themselves. They work for the supermarkets. I told them all of this as well.
I have a question for you guys. Do you take supplements? And if you do you really know what supplements you should be taking? You see, this is a problem I had for years. I would walk into a supplement store. I would buy loads of random bottles of supplements and just pop pills every day, hoping for the best. But in reality, I had no idea whether or not I should be consuming these supplements. That is where Bionic came into the picture and solved that problem. You see, I've been working with Bionic for the past couple of years, and since 2021, I've been getting my blood work done with them every 3 to 4 months. And based on that blood work, they send it off to get analyzed, and then they put together a very specific customized formula for me, which will last me for 3 to 4 months until I get my next blood work done. And honestly, it's been an absolute game changer for me. They also offer another product called Bionic Go, where all you need to do is go onto the website, fill in questionnaire, and then based on that questionnaire, they can give you your customized supplements. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest, which I highly recommend, go onto the website, bionic.com, and you can use the link in my description to get a nice little discount on your first order. But do you think everybody is cut out to build and run a business?
Yes.
You think
everybody's cut out to run and build a business? Everybody should be rich.
You think that?
100%.
Because I know, I feel like there's
No, I know where you're going. I've heard this question many times. It's just not true that people cannot run a business. It's just not true. I don't care who you are, you can do it. And I'm not selling a course. I'm not selling a course about becoming an entrepreneur. I'm not selling anything. I'm selling a book. I'm selling sign up to my platform and help people. I'm not selling anything, but I'm not selling a course telling people to be an entrepreneur. But I will say this to you. No human being is born anything. Right? We're not born anything. We have different skills and different interests. There's different types of doctors, right? There's different types of lawyers. No one's born a doctor. No one's born a lawyer. Doctors and lawyers need training and guidance. And doctors and lawyers have groups of people that help them be doctors and lawyers. And there's a brain surgeon, there's the heart surgeon, there's the GP. There's different types of doctors. There's different types of entrepreneurs. There's different types of skills that you have that are applicable to entrepreneurship. Right? So my partner in one of my previous businesses, she's a graphic designer. She didn't think she was an entrepreneur. She's a graphic designer. I'm like, you're an entrepreneur. You just need to team up with someone that likes to do marketing and sales, right? Everyone is an entrepreneur. It's just a structural thing. Yeah. It's not an ability thing. Because, like one of my videos went viral because there's this guy who was standing in the street in England holding a sign that said like McDonald's that way, right? I was like, if Elon Musk today announced that he's actually created an equivalent of a human being, right? He's almost done it with robots. So he's created a human being. It can think for itself. It feeds itself. It recharges itself. It will last 100 years. It will think for itself. It will evolve. He's created a human being. Oh my fucking God. It's going to drive our car for us. It's going to do our house. Oh my God, this is unbelievable. His share price will go through the roof. He wouldn't just be the richest man on the planet. He'd be the richest man for all time, forever, right? That's it. But like, oh my God, he's created a human being. This is unbelievable. 1 week later, he's standing in the street holding a sign, this robot he's just created saying McDonald's that way. What the fuck are we doing, human beings? Like, we're incredible. What the fuck? That can be done by a breeze block, yeah? So get a breeze block to fucking do it. Or don't go to McDonald's. Either way, I don't care.
What happened in the video that made it go viral?
Well, the thing is, the video went viral because of two things. One, two very different people. The guy standing there with a sign. He was really cool, actually, the guy. And we had a really nice chat. Sometimes with clips, people misunderstand. You have a chat before and you have a chat after. He was a really interesting guy. Anyway, the clip, basically, the problem with the clip is I'm sounding a bit condescending, right? Because the guy's standing in the street holding a sign. I'm saying it with a smile in my head, but maybe in the video, people don't understand. I'm like, would you one day like to do your own sign company? He's like, no, I'm really happy. I really love holding a sign. I'm like, really? I mean, I was literally interested. Like, you like standing in the street when it's pouring with rain, holding a sign saying, buy shit this way. Really? It's like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, no, mate, you don't. But I sound condescending a little bit in the video. And I don't mean to be. I'm just kind of like shocked. And I don't believe him, right? He either owns the sign shop or he's just bullshitting me, right? And I'm genuinely trying to find out what his dream is to figure out if I can help him with his dream. I'm interested in it, right? But the clip went viral because one, people think it's funny, a guy holding a sign doesn't have a dream. And people are like, leave him alone. He's enjoying his life. He likes standing there with the sign. Just stop judging. Okay, that's the comments, right? And I think that's one of the reasons it went viral, because people are judging me for it. But I'm not judging him. I'm trying to understand like how a human being, such an incredible fucking thing, is doing a job a breeze block could do. And then the thing is, it was actually a sunny day that particular day. The next day, it poured down with rain. I was thinking about this guy standing in the street holding this sign for what would be like 10 quid. I'm like, what the fuck? You can go online on your phone, on TikTok, go live doing that and make more money holding the sign. Like one bit of extra education, he'd be able to earn 3 times more money just going live in TikTok, standing in the rain with the sign. At least do that. At least do that for you, man. Like, because you're standing in the street, working for someone else, holding a sign. Let's just do that at least. It kind of blows my mind because it's education in the real world. You know what I mean? Like, where's he got that training from? That's the best he can do, right? Because I believe in him more than he does. But unfortunately, some people took it as me judging him.
Why do you make these videos? Like, why are you putting such a lot of time and effort into the creation of content on social media? Because you don't need the money.
Well, I mean, I'm not making money with the social media clips. I give out money, right? It's not about making money. I will make money long term from doing social media, but I put all the money back into making the content better and helping the people in the videos and helping people on HelpBnk.com. I'm helping people with that money. But that social media makes. But it started off really as I'm interested. You know, like I was like, we've come to Dubai, okay? And when you come here to Dubai and you just have a holiday, it's nice. Or you come here, have a business meeting, it's nice. You stop someone in the street and you ask them their dream, you'll find out what's really going on in the minds of the people in that city. It's like a whole nother level. Like, and so part of it is morbid curiosity. I just really find people interesting. Like, why are you here holding this sign in the street? Why? How have you ended up here? And what's your dream? I find it such a great question to ask people. The stuff that people tell a perfect stranger blows my mind. The dreams that people have blows my mind. And I think if you can unleash that power, if you can help people just do what they love, fuck me, the world will just change overnight. Yeah. You know, and I'm fascinated by, it is literally one thing that can change their whole life. That one moment. Like yesterday, we met this lady. She was just skating along. It's like, what's your dream? Oh, I just want to be financially free. I'm like, how are you going to do it? So I just have this clothing brand idea. The swimsuits, like mine doesn't fit right. And I'm like, let's do it. I'm buying 10. There's the money. She's almost crying. She's like, oh my God, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. Yes, this is the moment. I've been waiting for this moment. This is it. This is where someone believes in me. A stranger I've just met on the street. This is it. I can't believe it.
Self-belief, I think, is the biggest limiting factor.
I literally saw someone, when I first saw her, slightly dead in the eyes to alive, awake, ready to go. Like one conversation, 3 minutes of my time and some money, energy. That's all it is. Gave her some energy. Now we can put that video up and promote her business and use social media for social good, because it's not used for social good enough. Social media is just like the internet. These things can be good and these things can be bad, right? But if you use it for good, it's hugely powerful. I put that video up. You know, we put a video up the other day of someone called Daisy who's dreaming of opening up a bakery business. The TikTok alone got 42 million views. 2.7 million people liked that video. You go into the comments, you'll see a wave of human kindness. I'll buy your cakes. I'll support you. I know someone in Hong Kong might be able to give you a free shop. It's fucking mind-blowing how powerful and useful social media can be for social good if we use it that way, right? So you asked me a very simple question, why do I do it? Well, I'm curious. 2, I love seeing the light in people's eyes come on. 3, I can fucking help these people do it. And 4, people watch it. The amount of DMs we get of people saying, I watched that video and it made me realize I can fucking do it too. And somewhere, someone else's eyes woke up and they went, yeah, I'm making excuses. Fuck that, I'm going to do it.
It's extremely satisfying knowing that you've had a positive impact on someone's life.
Totally.
Like even, I think one of the most satisfying things for me, especially when I started going hard with the YouTube videos and providing value, how to help men, women build muscle, lose body fat, like the amount of people that have been able to transform their physique.
Totally.
Just, I don't know whether if it was the inspiration or just breaking it down so that they understood that it actually wasn't that complicated. And for then those people to come up to you and, you know, say something nice. And even now, like I've had so many people come up to me and saying, oh, you're the reason why I quit my job and moved to Dubai and I'm now like running my own business. Like that's what fuels me to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to empower
a million of people like you, because like when you do that, when you realize you've made a change in something. See, the thing is, this is the other thing I think people don't really understand, because we've lost this. It's like, it's when I say it, people are going to go, oh yeah, of course, man, sounds easy. Like when you help someone else, like you're meant to help in a tribe, you're meant to help someone else. It's the most satisfying feeling ever. It's more satisfying than helping yourself, right? It actually makes you feel alive. We turned it all into a transaction, but it shouldn't be. Right? And the best way maybe I can explain is like, if you buy someone a present, I'm sure everyone's bought someone a present. You've really thought about it. You've gone and bought them this present and you're giving it to them and you watch their eyes light up, right? There's nothing. I don't know what present you've been given in your life. I mean, I've been given a car. I was definitely happy about that. But at the end of the day, I can think of times when I've given my wife something. I'm happier about that moment than I am about the person who gave me a car. You know, that moment I got given a car. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like getting given a car when I was once homeless was a big fucking deal. I still felt more kind of excitement when I can't wait to give them this present. I can't give it to them until tomorrow. Fuck it. I can't wait. And then you give it to them, they open it up, like, oh wow, I've made you happy. This is fucking awesome.
It's got to the point now, like when it's my birthday, I don't even want anything, but I would rather
have a meal with everyone, see everyone else having fun.
Organize an event which brings everybody together and then see everybody have a great time.
We know it's true what I'm saying, but we don't fucking apply it. And if you want to be happy, I reckon half of the world's mental health problems will be solved if we just help someone else that day. If we're having a tough time, I've written a book, right? So I always want to plug my book, right? I've got a book.
It's out now.
It's pre-order now. If you pre-order it now, it really helps with later getting on the bestseller list. So pre-order it.
What's it called?
And it's What's Your Dream. It's on Amazon and Waterstone. And but you don't have to buy the book to get my knowledge, by the way. It's got some knowledge in it from me. You can get all my knowledge for free. You don't need to buy the book to get my knowledge. I'll give that for free. But the book is about this concept of like give without take, not give and take, and how we need to move away from like this transactional nature everything's turned into. But I think that there's a real, how do I put it without sounding doomsday, but like, if we don't make a fucking change, like millions of people with AI coming their way are going to have no purpose. And there's actually a social experiment done by one of the big universities. It was a 12-year experiment. And what they did was they said, okay, they put 10 rats in a really nice enclosure, like water, food, and said, there you go, food and water, which, by the way, most people in most parts of the country can't even afford to pay for their food and water, but they gave them that. And then they said, then they ran the experiment for 3 months, that the rats run around, they were all happy. And then they put more rats in there. And those rats and new rats had babies, and they grew and they grew and they grew. 12 years later, basically 26,000 rats at this point. Suddenly, the rats were still comfortable, had food, had water, enough space. It was still all okay. Suddenly, though, those rats all started eating each other. And the conclusion of the experiment was basically that if humans don't have purpose, we can, even if we're given food and water, which right now, by the way, basic human needs like food, water, and now electricity, this brilliant invention that we're now so dependent on, often by a monopolistic company we've got no choice to buy it from, right? So this great invention, which it was, is now basic human need, which we don't survive if we don't have, right? Those things should be free. Mm-hmm. I'm not a socialist, by the way. I am a capitalist, but like these things are basic human needs. And even if you provide all those things and humans don't have purpose, what are we going to do? Walk around like zombies with nothing to do. That's COVID kind of. You want a little test of what that's like. You go home and do nothing all day, right? AI's coming. It's going to disrupt a lot of jobs. We need to have purpose. We need to have something to do. I think part of that is helping someone else. That's a purpose, right? We need to get away from give without take very quickly and move towards this concept of like, and a lot of people listening will be like, I can't afford to help someone for free. So I'm suffering. I totally get that. But you've got 4 minutes to help someone for free. Right, 4 minutes. Help someone for free for 4 minutes. For example, I give out money, but you don't have to give out money. You could go and retweet someone, their new business, and try to help get it going. You could share on your stories what they're doing. You can make a comment or a like on their LinkedIn post to help the algorithm notice what the thing they're trying to do. It doesn't have to cost you anything. 4 minutes. Now, if you take 4 minutes and go and help a fellow human, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to sleep better at night. You're going to feel good because you're meant to do it. Second thing that's going to happen is the person you just helped is going to feel good. And then they're going to think, wow, I was helped. Now, because I was helped for free for 4 minutes, I can afford to help someone for free for 4 minutes. And I would say the 5 million people that follow me on social media, if they all help someone for 4 minutes today, in any way they can, the world would change dramatically because those 4 minutes would change someone else's life. Those 5 million that get help would then have 5 million they would help. And by the end of next week, you could actually see a war ending. You know, like, things could change because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to help each other.
Do you think you could still do that in the early phases of starting a business?
I think it's vital. Like most of my early businesses, like I remember when I was trying to win a cricket ground when I was doing a gardening company. And they had the gardener they had was retiring, so I knew there was an opportunity. But all these other companies were bidding for the cricket ground work, and so I basically every day for about 3 months would go to the cricket ground and do some work on the garden with my crew. Just in the morning, we'd make it routine. Cricket ground didn't pay us; they didn't ask us to do it. And then when the tender finally came up for the work, they're like, Simon, you've been coming every day. You care about this. We're going to give you the work, man. Like, this is the price you need to put in for the tender, though, and this is how you need to do it. But you got the work, man. It's fine. You know, like, free is so valuable, and you shouldn't use it as an upsell. I think free's got a bit abused. Come on my free course, and then someone upsells you. I think free should be the nature of, don't expect anything back. And I've run this experiment for the last 5 years, so this isn't just me saying it's an idea. I've run this. I've had plenty of opportunities where someone offered me £10,000 to help them for 1 hour. I don't care how rich you are, £10,000 for an hour. It's like, all right. I helped him for free, right? So I lost £10,000. People be, oh my God, it's all right for you, mate. You're rich. You can do it. That guy, his name's James Sky, has promoted me to so many people, so many ways. Every time he goes live, he talks about me and how I helped him. Like I didn't take the 10 grand off him. Like, yes, I could have made instantly 10 grand from him. And sure, that would have been a nice thing to suddenly be able to spend out of nowhere. But I didn't take it. So what's interesting is, it's like an energy thing. If you give and don't expect anything back, like I didn't expect James to do anything to help me, right? I didn't. The fact he has is like, oh, that's nice. I didn't expect it. The amount of stuff I get back. And I'm in a privileged position where maybe I can help people for free and I can give money out and help people that way. But I've also discovered, ironically, if you want to be successful and you want to be rich, if you want your dream to come true, and this is what my book's about, if you want your dream to come true, help someone else's dream come true. That's the irony. If you on your birthday, you've got a birthday cake in front of you, you want your wish to come true, make your wish about someone else's wish coming true. Blow those candles out, wanting someone else's life to be better. And do you know what? Someone will do it for you and it will come true. Mm-hmm. It's literally that simple. You don't need to buy the book now because I told you the basic whole premise of it. So don't need to pre-order it. Forget the whole thing. It's you've got all the knowledge.
It's true. It's funny because the moment I started giving away the most amount of free value and information through my socials, that was when I started making the most money.
Totally. Everybody at the top will tell you the same.
Yeah.
And the more you give, the more you get. And it's so cheesy and people are like, yeah, well, you can afford to give. Well, you fucking started giving. That's how you end up getting. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to aim for the get. You want to aim for pure give. The more pure give you can do, the more you get back. It's an energy transfer thing. Mm-hmm. It's an investment.
And even if you don't get much back in the beginning, usually later on down the line, it'll come.
Yeah. And there's nuances to it as well. Like, the other thing is like judgment. So, I'm not just talking about like a financial return. I'm also talking about an expectation return. Mm-hmm. So most people's misery will lie in the fact that they lent someone money and they didn't pay them back, right? Yeah. So I lent my older brother money and he didn't pay it all back. We fell out for 15 years and I didn't see his kids, right? What's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I should have lent him the money and then that's it. I do a good deed for my brother, right? But we had an agreement. He was supposed to pay me back. He didn't pay it all back. Right. So then I'm like, you fucker, he didn't pay me back. Right. It's my fault, not his. For 15 years, I blamed him. Mm. Right. It's my fault. I should have given it without any expectation of anything in return. It's my fucking brother. Right. It shouldn't be a transaction. But, he even approached it as a transaction. Lend me the money and then, I'll pay you back. Right. So, all right, that's fair. I should just.
You already had the expectation then.
Yeah. But so for 15 years, I didn't see his kids. I didn't see him. Why?
Yeah.
What should happen is you only give what you can afford and you should give it without any expectation of anything in return. And I had an expectation. So I caused pain for myself, pain for him. Why? You did a good thing. You lent someone listening, they definitely lent someone money. You did a good thing, lent someone money. Move on. Don't expect it back from them. That's the end. Now, of course, the banks have created transactional systems. The mortgage system, which is totally fucked, creates a transactional system. So we all think everything's a transaction. And it's getting worse, by the way. Supermarkets, you can't even speak to anybody anymore. It's like, ching, you didn't register it properly. Ching, it's all transaction. Buying food, buying stuff online, love, all transactions. Swipe. We've got to get back to like two people talking. You all right, mate? What do you need? All right, I'll do that for you. Don't worry. Don't think back.
Yeah, that's rare these days.
We've got to get back to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're fucked.
How many businesses have you started? 18 now?
I'm on my 19th business now. This is probably the last business I'll ever do before I die. And yeah, this is my 19th company. And yeah, I've had a lot of failures along the way. I've had a lot of successes. Luckily, I've somehow made more money than I've lost. But I love the experience of building things that are in your head and making them real. Everybody listening right now is on a device that was in someone's head and they made it real, or sitting on a chair that was in someone's head and they made it real, or sitting in a building that was in someone's head and they made it real. It's fucking amazing what we can do. And I love that. Taking an idea, like HelpBnk.com for me was an idea like, well, what if we built a LinkedIn where people helped each other for free? And what about if we built a LinkedIn where everyone gets help for free, but also we'll pay people to help people for free. What if we made it convenient for the people that can help to help? Because that's one of the big problems. People want to help, but they don't have time. So you make it convenient for the person that wants to help to help. I get thousands of DMs from people like, please help me. I'm like, I don't read my DMs. That's not where I help. I help in helpbank.com. Go there.
Yeah.
And I will help you when I've got the time to do it. Right. And I think that whole idea to me is like an idea in my head that is real. It's alive today. Hundreds of thousands of members. It's working. People are getting help they need. People are helping people when they're making them feel better when they do it, and we're paying people to help people. Right. Like it, and it's an idea in my head, you know, like, and I that from that day that got that first company, you know, gardening company, idea in your head, real. It's just amazing what we can do.
How many of those did you start by yourself, and how many did you go into business with somebody or co-founder?
So numbers aside, because that's boring for listeners, I think what was interesting, my outcome is that for me, I have had the most successful businesses when I've had a co-founder.
Yeah.
So like I interviewed Nick Jenkins on my podcast a little while ago. He's the founder of Moonpig, and we kind of had a little bit of a healthy discussion about like he was a sole founder and he loved it, right? He didn't want a co-founder. He didn't want anyone to talk to about it. It was all him. He did it. And I get it. Not for me though. I like a team. I would rather have 50% of a successful business than 100% of something I don't enjoy. Mm-hmm. And so all the businesses that have been super successful for me have been co-founder businesses. Someone's got a different skill to me, but the same moral code. And they're the businesses for me that are also the most scalable, because I can go on holiday and that person still, you know, like it instantly you get a little bit of scalability when you have a co-founder. I love teams. I love building things with other people. I don't need 100% of something. And so for me anyway, and I think for a lot of people that really enjoy their businesses, co-founder structure works for me. That's one of the common things I see. The other thing is I've always been I didn't realize it until I look back now at my life. But that 15-year-old me that struggled to start a business, after the gardening company, I started a hotel booking service. This will show how old I am. For your listeners listening right now, they might think I'm 25, but I'm not. My first business after the gardening company, I basically identified that people would ring a hotel.
Is this in the UK or?
This is in the UK, yeah. People would ring, in the old days, used to ring up a hotel to make a hotel booking. Mm-hmm. You didn't have the internet. So you just, hello, have you got a room? And people were like, in the hotel I was working in, they're like, oh, we're full. And they put the phone down. But like, we spent so much money getting that phone call to this hotel. The receptionist is happy to put the phone down. I'm like, no. Next time they do that, pass them to me, so that we're full, but I'm just going to pass you to Simon. He's our marketing consultant. Pass me. I'm like, what sort of room are you looking for? Oh, there's a Four Seasons down the road. We can book you in there. They're like, okay, great. We get 15% commission for putting him into another hotel. So what I'm explaining, I guess, is like each time I built a business, I've also like leveled up my skills.
Yeah.
And each time I built a business, the general formula is always the same. It starts with sales. You know, like, and your brain identifying like the garden is messy, the house is big. You're putting the phone down on someone, and everyone's got this muscle, by the way. It's just common sense muscle. Like, why is that broken? Why is this not working? If people want to start a business, probably the best thing to do is like think to yourself, what problem do you want to solve that you're feeling today? You know, like you go to the beach and there's no surfboards, and why not? Because you haven't got a car you can put it on. So start a surfboard shop. Or bring someone in to run a surfboard shop for you, with you. Why not? You know what I mean? Like, just identify problems that are in your life and see if there's a business in it.
Have you ever had a co-founder relationship not work out? Or was it
I have. I've had many co-founder relationships not work out for various reasons. Probably the number one reason is moral code alignment. Mm. And moral code is quite a hard thing to assess in someone when you first meet them. I mean, some of the biggest narcissists, the most charming people in the world, right? How do you know? It's a bit like relationships, right? You don't really know until you move in with them, and then you get a joint bank account, and then you're like, oh fuck, hold on, you know. So it's a discovery process.
I made that mistake when I opened up a gym.
Right.
Just completely different moral code.
Yeah.
But I didn't know to begin with.
So
it was only till working with him for like over a year, I was like, hang on.
Yeah.
This is terrible. And then at that point, you're locked in.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult to get out.
But you learn. So how do you check now?
Now, I just do a lot more background checks on them. I ask people that know of them. I ask what they're like. And then sometimes I just ask myself, do I really need this person? and sometimes I don't. But it's again, it's difficult because there's so many people now that have just mastered the art of charming one another, and they will come to you and sell you the dream and just tell you about all these amazing things that we can do this together, we can do that, I'll help you do this. You just need to actually see if they're capable of doing that. I put them through a couple of tests.
Yeah.
See
so
if they
everything
can
you just said there, like I feel like I should have you on my podcast in the future. Like that's a great starting point. All those things you just said there, like ask questions, get referrals, check, right? But you know what? You got to listen to your gut as well.
Yeah.
Like I would say some of my mistakes in the past, like I launched a comic book business. I so wanted to do this cool thing. We had this idea of like doing a DC and Marvel comics in Asia, and what if Superman landed in China? What would that story look like? You know, what if Batman was born in India? What would that story look? I was so excited because when I said this to someone in America, like, oh, Superman's going to be evil? Like, why? Because he's in China, is he going to be evil? Like, I really found that interesting, the cultural like misunderstanding. Like, we're still going to be a good guy. He's just landing in China. He's just going to save people in China instead of save people in America. Why have you instantly thought Superman's going to be evil? Because anyway, I really wanted to do it. And the guy that I basically teamed up with to do it, I just overlooked the red flags. Yeah. Because I so wanted to do it, you know, like but I'm sure it's the same with the gym, right?
I wanted to have my gym so badly.
Let's fucking do a gym, man. Let's do it. You know, and I think it is patience again, you know, like it's just, but equally, the only caveat I'd say to all of this is that sometimes you just also got to go for it. Yeah. You know, because people do change. I have seen bad people turn good, and I've seen good people turn bad. You know, money in particular can do weird things to people, right? I've seen good people turn bad because of money, and I've seen bad people actually turn a corner, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and you know, go back the other way when they've realized. So people do change, and I think there's a misconception where people say, oh, people don't change; they're always going to be that way. No, experiences change people. Right.
Well, I'm glad I had that experience when I did. I was in like mid-20s, and it taught me so much. And after that, it forced me to go off and do everything by myself, which I think the reason why I teamed up with him in the first place was because I didn't think I could do it alone.
Right.
And then I realized actually that it was something that I could have done.
You have a co-founder or partner since?
No, but
how old are you?
I'm 33. So now
you look a lot older. Yeah, anyone listening, just in case they haven't come and looked at you on YouTube, you don't.
I look worse in real life, guys.
No, you don't.
Yeah, so I'm in a great position now, where there's so many different things which I could potentially start up. All these business ideas, the opportunities that I have. I'm a known person, so it's easy to get money or to find co-founders. So where I once was a fitness influencer guy doing the whole online coaching fitness app thing, I want to transition away from that. And even with some of my existing businesses, there's one at the moment where I'm considering giving away equity because I see it has a lot of potential. But as you said before,
have you done it before, giving away equity?
No.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first of all, I'm sometimes a walking conflict with some of my advice, right? But I think everybody should ask for equity in the company they work in. Everybody.
The staff.
Everybody.
Yeah.
If you work in a company, you should either have a path to own something, or you should own equity where you work, or if you can't get those things, you should go work somewhere where you get equity, because you cannot scale when you sell time. The only way you scale is when you own a brand and you own a part of something that works when you sleep. No passive income, that's also bollocks, but that's another subject. I think when it comes to the psychology of building a business, the person who comes in, if you just give them equity, there is also an element of they can just walk away and nothing matters because they didn't lose anything, right? So there needs to be an element of balance. So for example, Callum, who's part of my team, he bought into the platform. He only had a little bit of savings, but all that he had, he bought in. So if it doesn't work, he loses something, right? And I think, and therefore he has equity in something that now is worth a lot of money. But what I'm pointing out is you have to have
work harder, won't they?
There has to be an element of risk, right? There has to be an element of risk because I've taken risk, you've taken risk. The people who are on the journey with you also need to take risk, right? But I also don't think, sometimes I think back to your age, right, which was only a few years ago for me, people listening on Spotify. The thing is, sometimes experience can work against you as you get older, right? So example, I think it was Michael Gladwell wrote a book about airplanes accidents. And it turned out the most amount of accidents in airplanes were caused by the most experienced pilots, which seems counterintuitive, right? How come the most experienced pilots have the most amount of accidents? And it turns out it's because they're jaded. So, for example, a plane's taking off. I won't name the exact plane because somehow I'm going to be disrespecting the people that got hurt on the plane. But the plane takes off, and the older pilot says to the younger pilot, "Oh, there's ice in the wing, but we're just going to leave it because normally when you take off, it just falls off, mate. So if we have to stop and heat that up, and we'll lose half an hour, and I'll miss my dinner, and I've done this 1,000 times, it's fine." They take off. This time the ice doesn't drop off, and the plane has a problem, right? And I think in business, like your experience with your co-founder, what you did wrong was not what you now know, but it wasn't having a co-founder that was the problem, right? So definitely having partners. I can't say enough. I would not be successful today if it wasn't for Helen Griffiths joining me at Fluid. There's no way I'd be sitting here with you today. It wouldn't have worked. There's no way. Now, she actually wanted to join originally as an employee, and she was quite happy. I gave her 50%. Now, there's a strange caveat with that one because I ended up marrying her, so giving her 50% worked out, right? But conceptually, you know, like, I think that don't let experience also teach you the wrong lessons. Don't let failure teach you the wrong lessons. Sometimes people take the wrong. I shouldn't get a co-founder because I had this bad experience. No, you didn't do it right. Because my experience of co-founder is like a 10x on most of the valuations of the businesses I've been involved in. So yes, I can start a business on my own. I can. But if I allocate, and co-founders, by the way, I mean, I brought people into my businesses. I've been running it 2 years and I bring people in. They're still co-founders. If they have equity, my co-founders. People always have a misunderstanding about that. You give people feeling of ownership. Why not? Make them proud of where they work. They're part of building it. Yeah, I think people leverage these things against their team instead of work it towards supporting their team and their ambitions, right? I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying there to you, but like, don't let your experience jade you. And anyone listening, like they've had, I don't like co-founders. I had this bad experience too. I don't trust people. Maybe it's just a person. Don't let that person win by that being your new way of living, you know?
Well, I think it's deciding like which route should I go down, because I'm like you. I don't want to get caught up in running the business like this.
And you can't scale if it's just you.
Yeah. And there's things I like doing which are having like almost like the biggest return on investment, like doing the social media thing. Yeah. Like I love doing it. So
but it's dangerous, by the way, personal brand social media, because if you stop, it stops.
Yeah.
If you stop making this content, it stops.
Yeah.
So you can't live like this forever.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, personal brand's a bit overrated in that regard. Like, I spent the longest time building a company that happened to help my personal brand over time, but then that company can run without me. Personal brand can come later. And don't get me wrong, I think personal brand's quite powerful today. If you can, like what you're doing, I actually think, I love what you're doing. You build a great personal brand, you build the respect, then you launch a clothing line, then you do these things. I actually think that's also cool. But launching the clothing line is actually quite vital. And if that doesn't work, launch something that does work. You know, like make sure you don't be just you, because then you'll be forever a slave to the system. You'll create a job for yourself.
It's deciding whether to give away equity or just hire more people to run it. Like how would you decide which one to do?
I don't think anyone should work anywhere without equity. So, but on the owner side of the equation, I won't sit on the employee side of the equation for a minute. I'll sit on the owner side of the equation. I think it makes sense to have a mechanism that everyone feels ownership in some way. So the first step, I think, in that is, and you touched on it earlier, but like making sure the people that join your business are truly aligned with your purpose. I'm not just saying it. They fucking are. They mean it. Right? Because if they just join and they're like giving you lip service, I love your clothing brand. I just love clothes. It's just awesome. And I wore it. It's so nice. And you're like, all right. And then they join you and you spend 6 months building it up, and and then Lululemon calls them up and says, hey, we're going to pay you double. And you want to come over to Lululemon? Oh, yeah. Double. I'm there. So like, I think
there's no loyalty there.
So I think, you know, that due diligence in co-founder is just as important in due diligence in your employees. Even if you do initially bring them on as employees. And I've done that. I initially bring people on as employees because that's how you get to know each other, right? And then I pay them, and then they're able to pay their bills. But as you develop, I think it's a mistake to keep people employees. I think the cooperative model and equity, I always do it on a means testing model. Like Callum, who joined me, How much can you afford? What's your savings, mate? It's like, I've got X savings. How long's it taken to get this? A couple of years. It's also my parent. They gave me some money. It's all I've got. It's all I've got. All right, mate. Would you be willing to put that into this? He said yes without blinking. You know what that tells me? He fucking is honestly, truly doing this because he fucking believes in it. Because the amount of money he put in is actually game-changing for someone his age. He'd go live in Bali for a couple of years and not have to worry. He's not saying, actually, can I have more money? And also, I'm not putting my own money in, mate. I'm not an idiot, am I? Mm-hmm. You know, like, he's like, I'm all in. Yeah, I'm all in. You see what I mean? Like, it's the best interview you could ever have. It's like the real test. I don't need his money. I mean, he's got his money back already twice over so far. But I'm just saying, like, conceptually, like, it's that commitment. You see what I mean?
It's
like,
the same thing with fitness. Like, if somebody, I've noticed this when people sign up, like, to my app, for example. If you're just investing, you know, £10 a month, you don't really take it that seriously. If anything, I should be charging it more. But if somebody pays 1,000 or 5,000 or £10,000 for a program, they're gonna fucking take it seriously because they've put so much of their money into it that it's like, well, there's no way I'm gonna waste this.
This is a really interesting subject you're touching on now because there's a nuance to it. Okay, so what I described and what you described are not actually the same thing, although I know exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about my side of it. I think the subject we were about to touch on now is probably one of the most controversial subjects out there when it comes to like people paying for stuff and not paying for stuff, right? And when I'm talking about Callum, I'm talking about validation that he believes in the purpose, right? Not about commitment to the work, because he was already committed to the work, right? And I'm talking about his want to be successful and making it a need to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. So when he doesn't have any savings anymore, it's now also like a need, not just a want, right? And the Vikings used to call this burning the boats. You turn up on England, you burn the boats that got you there, you're not going back. You're dead, or you're gonna conquer England, right? So in Callum's case, I'm talking about he turned his want into a need, and I validated his true feelings around whether or not he cares about the problem I'm trying to solve, right? What you're talking about, I categorize completely. I've gone through all the cycle of what you're talking about. In all the business I've built, what you're talking about has come up every single business. What you're actually talking about is identifying people that really need it. Okay? And one way that many people validate if someone actually needs it is if they pay. But it isn't actually the driving force. So an example would be, how many people pay quite a lot of money for a gym membership but don't go?
That's quite a lot.
Fucking huge amount of people.
Yeah.
So that instantly actually negates that it's money and commitment of money that encourages and confirms commitment. What actually psychologically confirms commitment is if that person doesn't do it, they're going to die. Mm-hmm. Right? If I know that I'm going to die if I don't do your exercise regime, if I know that, I'm going to do it. Now, if I've got no money and I can't afford your app, I'm still going to do it. Now, if I can afford your app and it's 50 grand, I'm still going to do it if I've got the money. It's about market identification. It's about identifying who actually fucking needs it, not just wants it. Right? And so, again, no amount of money, the money causes a false element of need. That's actually what that does. It doesn't actually, it's not the true cause of that person doing it. So if that person didn't pay, the person you're talking about who did pay, and they did it, if they didn't pay, they still would have done it. If I digged into their lives, and I've done this, I know for a fact this is true. If I dug into their lives, without doubt, they're doing it. The money is just part of it. It's not the reason for it. They've had a health scare, their partner left them. There's a reason they've gone from want to need. Right? Most people I see that get fit, they had a health scare. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what. No, I've got to fucking sort myself. I'm going to get diabetes if I carry on like this. It's not a want anymore. It's a need. And money has just become a weird way of proving it. It's not the only way. And I know this is an experiment on my side, so I help people for free, right? Right? I put a video up with all the knowledge I've ever gained in business in 30 years for free on YouTube. People paid nothing. And they've watched the whole thing for 2.5 hours and replayed it and replayed it and replayed it. Didn't pay anything for it. The great thing about YouTube is you can reach all the people in the world that actually need it and not just want it. So it's got 2.5 million views in a week, right? And you read the comments, there's people like, this has changed my life, this is unbelievable. Didn't pay anything for it.
It's insane the amount of value that's on it for free. Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so money has become this thing that people use as a gateway. So what happens is, and I say this very carefully, I've got a lot of friends that sell courses and stuff, right? So there's nothing wrong with selling courses. Nothing wrong with making money from selling courses. I'm not against that. I'm against the belief system that money motivates people. It's one motivator. It's not the motivator. And an example is someone will say to me, well, I did a free course and then no one turned up, right? I'm like, well, you didn't market it to the right people then. You didn't explain it right. And you probably don't have the reputation of actually delivering. Most people think that free course when they get on it. And this is a property company I was thinking of recently. The property course that they advertise free that no one turned up to is because everyone knows that company, as soon as you go on that course, they're going to upsell you some shit you don't want at the end of it. Right? So no one's going to go in there and get hard sold something and then half the information given to them. No one fucking turns up. The courses that I do that are free, fucking full up. People turn up, they're there. Right? Why? Because in those moments when I do those webinars, I'm not selling them anything and I'm giving true value. So that's it. People turn up. It's bollocks. And I marketed it right to people that actually need it, not just want it. Now, I can start saying, well, if I don't charge people money, they don't want... That justifies me charging money. That's fine. But don't just accept that that's just you trying to make money. I don't mind that. People are using it as a reason for charging people money. Don't do that. Just say, I need to make money on this course, so I'm charging 100 quid for it. That's the way it is. But if I took the 100 quid off and the value is so good, my brand's so good and the value there is so good, people will still turn up. And that's the truth. But people keep saying, if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. It's a fucking lie. Just like the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's a fucking lie. Just be honest. I need to charge money to make money to pay my bills. That's all right. But let's stop pretending it's something to do with money. It may be one factor in some cases. It's not the factor.
I wanted to touch on briefly property because we nearly got onto that before we started the podcast. You don't believe that you should own property?
I think the property business is a scam. And I should caveat it by saying I bought a home, a massive home in the country. So I bought that home because I'm English and my subconscious just can't fucking not do it. And we're all like in England, everyone wants to own a home, right? And also, for some reason, when my son was born, I wanted him to have a stable place to live, right? Having kids changes everything. I would even say that my argument I'm about to make about why no one should own a home, there's probably caveats to it, and one of them is kids, right? You want stability for your kids. But this is my problem with it. How long have I got? This is a very long potential download on this shit.
Oh, it's fine. Go wild.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, let's take the sector of the property market that people accept as it's definitely worth owning a home you live in because it's better than rent, right? That's the argument, rent versus mortgage. My experience as someone that's made a lot of money is that I don't want to be stuck in one location because I own a house. I don't want to put my savings, including the deposit, into a house, especially when I was young. If I put that money on deposit on a house, and then on top of that, I'm spending money keeping the house, making it nice, I have to fix the washing machine, I have to fix the fence that's been blown over, I have to fix the guttering, I have to do all these things and not the landlord. My mind is taken up, the most important part, and then also resources are slowly being sucked out of you. Owning a home costs money. It's not free when you own a home. And then, of course, the mortgage rates can go up and all these things. I would rather rent, and if the landlord lifts the rent, move somewhere else, especially when I'm young, I don't have kids, right? And I'd rather move where the opportunity is. And so that's the first step. Understand that it's not rent versus mortgage. Sometimes it's mortgage versus freedom. Understand the real framing of it, because people are stupid when they say it's mortgage versus rent. Example, I started my gardening company, as I mentioned earlier, and I had nowhere to live at first, and then I moved into a squat. And then when I did the deal with the cricket club, I moved into the cricket club shed where I kept all the equipment, and I had free office and I had free accommodation, and I was able to put all the money I was making back into the business, right? When you're young, you can do that. Even when I had a little bit of money, I went to Hong Kong, I still slept on my friend's couch, right? So I think that you know, when you're young anyway, like this accommodation thing is a ruse. It traps people. It gets them stuck in a location. It gets them stuck on a monthly fixed cost. Even the mortgage companies say you can't let someone else live there. You can't do this. You can't do that. Your mortgage infringement, blah, blah, blah. And if you look at the paperwork, you don't actually fucking own the house, right? You're going to pay 4 times more for it by the time you've paid off the mortgage. And technically the bank owns the house because the bank's using your house to go borrow even more money out in the ecosystem. Right? So you don't own it. You're fucking battery for the mortgage company. You're paying that, you're working for the bank. Just be honest about it. At least understand it. Don't go into it thinking you're owning it. You may own it later. Assuming you pay the mortgage off in 30 years and not doing a no interest payment thing, which is fucking dumb. You pay it off in 30 years. Let's assume you do that, right? Most people don't because they upgrade, lifestyle inflation. They get kids, they get a bigger house. Most people die in the house they finally own at 65. Right? And then what happens? You've got 2 kids, because this is the other argument. Well, I'm doing it for my kids. I bought a house. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing a job I hate to pay the mortgage, to work for the bank, to own the house so that my kids have a better life, which is beautiful. Sounds beautiful. It's a fucking lie as well. Because what actually happens in the reality, the economics reality, right? Most people don't own a home in a trust because it's expensive to run a trust system. They own it in their own name. That's how the banks want it as well, because they can take it off you in your own name. So what happens when you die is inheritance tax in most countries, especially England, 45%. So that house that your parents have managed to pay off, if they have managed to pay it off, and haven't got a mortgage to pay for your fucking university education that you didn't need, or they haven't paid off, buy some shit car you didn't need, or whatever, getting married costs, whatever they haven't already remortgaged to do all that shit. Let's assume they actually kept it pure and managed to get out of debt and resist the so get another mortgage, good debt shit. They actually managed to own it and die in it, owning it. Now you've got 2 kids, let's say. Now those 2 kids, 45% inheritance tax, gone. Now you split the leftover after a bit of tax between those 2 people, those 2 kids. On average, people have 2.3 children in England, right? 2 kids. Now you've got the deposit for the very house your parents have just died in. You have to spend the next 30 years paying that fucking mortgage. It's a treadmill. It's a fucking lie. And then the other side of it is people are like, okay, the property went up 3 times in value, yeah? Gold went up more since 1970 than property, yeah? Gold doesn't require you to fucking change the windows and fix the gutter and all that shit. Okay, storage. Money goes up if you put it into any asset that has value over time. Property, in my opinion, is damaging the economy. Monopoly was invented by a very clever woman. Like all good products were invented by clever women, and she invented this monopoly board to explain. She had 2 boards. One was property and land was not owned by anybody. It was tribal. It was community run. It's not socialism. It's basic human needs being taken care of. It's not socialism. Yeah, I believe in capitalism. It's basic human needs. Water at that time and a place to sleep, a tent to live in were basic human needs, right? And she designed Monopoly to show, here's when you create an ecosystem that land and a tent is a basic human need and we provide it for each other. And we all go around the board forever having food and water and living together. You create Monopoly, there's one fucking winner at the end of every single game because that's how it works. So what starts, these rent-to-rent, buy-to-rent people, that should be banned, right? But even they're starting to lose. What's happening now? The institutions are starting to say, okay, we can lend people the money. The value's gone up. Now we can buy them. So the institutions are starting to buy up property. This is a new trend. So it won't be people that own property today that will win. Right. Now I'm going to get into what I think is probably the biggest part of this property fucking mess is that the very people that run the system that keep us all alive are the very people that get fucked by this property system. So nurses, for example, if you've got a problem today, you run to the emergency, it'll be a nurse that probably makes sure that you live and a doctor, but there'll be without that nurse there, the doctor's run off his feet. You need that nurse. She's going to save your life. And what you've done is you just bought a house, you've renovated it, and you're squeezing 9% out of her. Yeah. So now the NHS can't really afford to pay her more. So 1 in 3 people in the UK, nurses-wise, are on food stamps. So the person you want to save your life today, right, this very moment, you've been fucking them, making sure you get as much yield out of them as you can in a house. Yeah, because we're not providing them with accommodation they can afford. Right, there's people that are saving, like, same for the fire brigade, police. We can't pay them more because there's no money tree. Remember that shit? No money tree, but there's money tree for fucking everything else that comes along that provides big companies with money, right? So you got all these people that are literally like the frontline workers. Remember we all clapped for them?
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, clap for you. Buy to rent. Good idea. Yeah, let's make sure that you can buy a house and fucking charge someone for fixing the kitchen, right? It's not contributing to society. It's damaging society. It should not be a business. That buy to rent stuff should be gone. Home ownership, I can understand an element of it, but a buy to rent should be gone. It should not be a business like that. Then all the property prices go up. And you know, the other thing is that with property prices is that it's not like starting a business. If you start a business, let's say you start a wood shed building company, or you're buying wood from the local chippy, you're hiring people, you're buying equipment, right? That goes back into the economy. The money goes back into the economy. It's all GDP economy. It goes back to the system, right? Whereas property, it goes up. Let's say it doubles in value, yeah? It's just sitting there. It's not GDP contributing. It's not real wealth. It's fucking what causes inflation. It's why your fucking cucumber's ridiculously expensive. It's like, and then people say, well, I can sell it and I have loads of money. No, you haven't. Inflation, man. Now everything's gone up. Your house hasn't doubled. Cucumbers have doubled, tripled, quadrupled. You know, like it's the whole business. Because when I made a lot of money, I had all these financial advisors. Every single one of them are fucking idiots. Like telling me buy houses and rent them out. I'm like, does Elon Musk do that? Does he? How many houses does he have? 0. Fucking buy a house and rent it out? Do you think I'm a fucking idiot? I've got a brain. I'm going to buy a house and change the lock on the front door and fix the kitchen and call myself a businessman. Fuck off. It's not business.
Yeah, it's a headache.
It's stupid. And a lot of very smart people are doing it. I'm like, what the fuck? Go build something real, right? Social housing projects, renovate buildings. There's some things I'll have caveats to the property side of it. There are some caveats. If you can take a disused warehouse and turn it into flats, great. More accommodation in the ecosystem. That I don't mind so much. But like taking existing supply, putting a new kitchen in it, changing the lock on the door, and charging more for it, and that value going up, which means people can't afford to buy, which means rent goes up. It's just where's it going to end? No one can afford to rent. No one can afford to buy. Like, young people are fucked. Good news, they've got social media. So somehow, some of them might be able to make enough money to afford that shit, and all their parents die and give it to them. Unfortunately, it's still going to be a bit of a slog, but at least they have to deposit for the house to get back onto the mortgage system. As long as those big companies don't buy up everything and make you fucking work for them paying the mortgage. Told you it was a bit of a spiel, didn't I?
I can tell you're quite passionate about that subject.
I just understand it, and it frustrates me that nothing's being done about it. In fact, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So I just feel annoyed. I'm just like, we know the problem. It's like the education system. We know there's a problem. We know a few of the solutions. It's not that hard. Teach financial literacy. So like it's maths, but with like depth. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why are we not doing it? So that's why I am doing it as best as I can in my own small way, because I don't want to moan about it. I want to do something about it. So I don't buy property and rent it out, and I fucking fight as hard as I can to try and change the system so that people can have a better life. And it's I am passionate about it, but I have to pace myself because I know it's going to take maybe 30, 40 years to fix a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, you're doing the right thing with the content that you're putting out there, especially those recent videos that are taking off. Like, people clearly care about them and want to see more. So what's your goals for the rest of this year?
Well, I think we kind of have a goal to help one person every day in a meaningful way. We're building up the HelpBnk.com platform to every day we're adding a new thing on there to try and make it more useful to people, really digging into what is help, how do we help people, like really help people, and build out the community more. So we're 5 million strong right now. We just hit 5.1 million on our system. Just building that community, because that's the thing as well. Like, again, like politics, it's like red versus blue. I'm conservative, I'm Labour. It's like, we're not against each other. I want to help you. Let's do it. What do you need? And then I just want to build a community where that's the mindset. Forget politics. We don't need these people. They're just in the way anyway. They just lie to us. It's just, my goal this year is just keep building the community, keep trying to share this knowledge with people, which is why I'm grateful you have me on the podcast today. I just want people to understand things. Then they have informed consent. If they hear what I'm saying about property and they go and buy property, at least they know, right? If I tell them about how the business works and they decide to still work for someone else, that's cool, man. I'm not here to judge. I'm not saying you should be an entrepreneur. I'm saying I want you to have the option to have an entrepreneur. So one way to educate people today, They're not going to let me into school to tell this. So I come on great people's podcasts like yours.
Good schools telling everyone how shit school is. You should all leave.
When I sold my company, all the MBA programs invited me in to speak to their students. And they didn't invite me back because my opening statement was like, you've just wasted $200,000 doing this pointless MBA. But they all invited me separately, and I went into all of them separately. I went to Harvard and did it. They all interviewed. I all went in, all of them. It's just sold my company. This is how I did it. You've all wasted your money with this course, right? And they didn't invite me back. But it's that's the way I think. My mission you asked me for the next year is just like it's hard work trying to make change. I could be at home with my son now, swimming in the pool. But I know this is important for his future. So I'm pushing myself through the pain barrier to just get to the finish line and at least have a system in place that isn't me complaining about it all and doing nothing except selling some shitty course that doesn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. I want to keep pushing to there's an actual system in place where people can actually get help. That's why we're installing a doorbell in every country. We're doing a doorbell in every single country. You can press that doorbell, you pitch your dream, we upload it to 5 million people to try and help it come alive. So we were in Dubai installing a doorbell. We put it on a Ferrari, Mo Vlogs Ferrari yesterday. Yeah. So, we're trying to build infrastructure that isn't just talk about the problem and then no solution, because that's no good.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing that. It's not working, is it? And then do nothing. So right now, this year, it's just establish a system that actually tries to help people for free. So people don't think there's a catch, for free, and make it really work for as many people as we can.
Awesome. When's the book out?
The book's out January, but you can buy it now. Pre-order is very important.
January?
This coming January.
Damn it, that's too far away.
I know a lot of people said that, which is a good thing. Build up demand. But if you pre-order it, it really helps actually, because then all the Oprah will interview me if it's the Times bestseller. So the more it sells now will all count for the day it's released as a bestseller. Mm-hmm. So I've done a little bit different on my book marketing than other people. I'm doing a pre-order 6 months, saying buy it now. Then it'll be a #1 Times bestseller. And then Oprah will interview me, and then I'll be able to say to her, she's got a slightly bigger audience than you, I think. Not much, a few hundred million more. And we'll be able to get this message out. Let's move away from give and take to give without take.
Awesome. Well, the link to the book and the pre-order is in the description, guys. And then I guess everyone can find you if they just type in your name, but don't be careful. Don't DM you because you don't reply to DMs. Yes,
and be careful. There's 7,000 fake Simon Squibbs on TikTok. That's blown my mind. Look for the verified Simon Squibb. Be very careful for scammers.
Are they? Well, I guess. Yeah, they're asking people for money. They're not spreading the good word.
If they were just spreading the good word, mind you, imagine that. Imagine if all these people they're just pretending they're me and they slip into people's DMs. This is why I don't reply to DMs as well. It's they slip into people's DMs saying, "Would you like to buy Bitcoin with me?" And what's mad is I've never talked about crypto. I'm never promoting crypto. People are like, "Oh, sure, Simon, let's do it." No, don't do it.
You've been warned, guys. You've been warned. Simon, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That was amazing. I'm actually very fired up after that. So thank you.
Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem.